Here in the ESPN studios alongside U.S. men's national team former striker Brian McBride, we're going to go over the latest MLS Power Rankings as we head into the final stretches of the season. Number one, no surprise there, LAFC. They've qualified for a playoff spot with 9 games left to spare. Carlos Vela continuing his amazing season. Atlanta United, of course, they'd be number 2, a win away to Portland, a win versus Club America in the Campeones Cup. As we round off the list, Portland and Seattle, a big game coming up for them. They finish at 8 and 9 in the power rankings. Let's go to the second half of the standings, and here you see LA Galaxy. Zlatan Ibrahimovic says he's a Ferrari, but maybe can't say the rest for the entire team. After that, DC United and Wayne Rooney, who's not that happy about travel accommodations. A lot of these teams will be fighting in the last reaches to try to get into those playoff spots as we round off the season. What was your initial reaction to those rankings? Surely LAFC and Atlanta, the 2 best teams in the league, right?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. And my surprise is more the fact that some of the teams that are actually in the top 4 spots are actually on the second page. You add in the fact, I think you've got to say that Philadelphia and the San Jose have been some big surprises, not to mention Minnesota United. The changes they made in the offseason, certainly never really a team that looked like they were going to be challenging for a home seed for these playoffs. And you got to give them credit. I think there's the fun part is this run-in really matters and really gets to show where the cream rises to the top, because there's some teams that were on the second page that have some pretty easy run-ins. You got to look at Portland, not necessarily on the second page, but a team that does very well at home. They're going against their run-in is against teams that have 1 point or just above 1 point on average per game. So it should be an exciting time, and these power rankings, I think, are going to change quite a bit come the end of the season. Yeah,
they've been changing every single week as well. We see teams rising and going lower, of course. What's your dark horse pick for a team that we're not really expecting or seeing right now in a playoff position that is going to sneak into it in the final stretches of the season?
I don't know if there's really a dark horse this year. Normally, I look at this and I think, okay, that team has this many games in hand. If you look at it, there's possibility of Dallas putting something together, but they don't have anything in hand. Houston has a few games in hand, but to me, this is more about who is going to win home field advantage come the start of the playoffs. I was a part of MLS when it was always changing every year. The format was changing. I was a part of it when it was 1 game. And after your first game, it went to 1 game. The semifinal was a 1 game and done scenario. And I found that to be excruciatingly nerve-wracking, but also so exciting for the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. So out of all the teams right now in the East and the West, who is your favorite overall? It has to be someone between either LAFC and Carlos Vela. Everything that he's done, Carlos Vela just set the record for goals plus assists in the league. Incredible. Is he a Ferrari? I had to ask you.
He might be a Lamborghini, him. Yeah. I think LAFC and Atlanta United have to be the favorites. But I really like some teams that are right around there. I think Portland has some great players going forward. If Mayaba can get fit and be back on that back line, they can cause some problems, especially if they're able to get a home field game. I can't count out Zlatan. I mean, a player like him, as we've all seen, he loves the big moments. Now, can his teammates, especially the back line, hold firm? That'll be the big question for me.
Yeah, so Zlatan, 20 goals in 21 matches, but LA Galaxy have only picked up 1 win now in their last 5 MLS games. Do they have enough? If they go through the playoffs, is it just Zlatan? Does he need more help around him?
Well, of course, I think he needs more help. I also think that he can add just a little bit more on the defensive side, because right now, LA are defending with 10 players. As soon as they lose the ball, Zlatan chills, right? Now, we know how good he is going forward. If you can get a little bit of defensive shape out of him, either forcing the ball one way or blocking some sort of path towards an open player, then I think you add in just so much more for that defensive shape and allow people not to work, or give people the ability to not work as hard as that. Now,
absolutely.
Listen, we've seen him work, right? When he first came into this league, he wanted to show everybody he could work defensively. I think this year, the latter part of last year, he's taken, not liberties, but he's taken some time off when they don't have the ball. If they can get him working a little bit, because there's some talent around him too, I think that they could be a surprise also.
And I wanted to ask you about DC United. Wayne Rooney over the weekend stormed off the pitch when he was subbed out, and he really had a go at the fourth official, didn't really share that many pleasantries, let's say, and afterwards hit out on social media saying that what should be a 6-hour flight was turned into a 12-hour flight because of the no chartered plane situation, that they'd have to fly commercial with connecting flights. Obviously, it's a big country. To go from the Pacific to the East Coast is going to take a while, especially if you have a stopover. What do you make of that, and how were your travel arrangements when you played? Surely he knew what he was getting into, right?
Yeah, I think he knew what he was getting into, but until you actually experience it, you don't really understand the amount of logistics that go through because they don't charter. And certainly times, as we've all traveled across the United States at different periods, there's times when you miss a flight because something's delayed, or you don't book that quick connection because you could get delayed. That part of it is tough. It really is. For me, when you know as a player you're moving on at the end of the season, certainly there's extra motivation to play as well as you possibly can for your team. But it's also the mental focus. You know, Benny is going to have to make sure that he keeps Wayne Rooney focused. And the good news is Benny's a great communicator. And so if he can do that and get Wayne Rooney back to the player he was when he first came, and not that he's gone down, but having the impact that he had at DC when he first came, then I think they're going to be fine in the playoffs. It's going to be a big uphill battle for them to knock off Atlanta.
So just going over some of the storylines as we head into the final months of the season. Of course, the playoffs right around the corner. The power rankings will be updated every single week, and that's what we had this week. LAFC and Atlanta United in the top 2 spots. No surprises there.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPNFC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.